The content and opinions shared on Talking Random Bitch are intended for entertainment and informational purposes. They reflect the personal views of the host and guests and do not constitute professional advice or represent any affiliated organization.
We're talking randomly. Talking random. We're talking randomly. Talking random.
And if y'all hear that, boys, we got Black Lasses future owner back in the building. What's good with you, my boy?
Things are moving well. Black Lasses coming home. I got, what's wonderful is I got Black Lassie 1.0 at the house, that big Dodge Ram 1500.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm gonna follow it up with Black Lassie, OG Black Lassie. 1 horsepower. Coming soon.
Yes,
Coming
sir.
soon. We're gonna let the weather warm up. I done talked to the hay man, talked to the fence man, had to push a couple things back.
Yes, sir. Yes,
and
sir.
as we discussed previously, my wife's spending my horse money. My wife is spending my horse money.
And Larry, she's doing a pretty damn
She's doing a very good job spending my horse money.
Yes,
Things are getting done around the house.
Yes, sir.
Things are getting done. I mean, I've got a nice looking bookshelf. I got a closet that got redid. Things in the basement are getting done.
Yes, sir.
But Black Lassie's not home. I believe I was hoodwinked.
The whole thing. Bamboozled. Yes, sir.
I didn't land on Black Lassie. Black Lassie landed on me.
Yes, sir.
I was led astray, sir. I requested a meeting with my union.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But
how'd they go?
it didn't go well.
It didn't go well.
I didn't read the fine print in that contract
Yes,
I
sir.
signed 30 years
Yes,
ago.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But we still working.
Hey,
We're going to get there.
Hey, long as negotiations are open.
Yes.
It's open.
Well, I believe they are open. She tell me they open,
Yes,
but
sir.
the way the negotiations are going, I believe they one side. I don't think she's listening.
Hey,
I don't believe this is fair and equitable.
Yes, sir.
As we say in the negotiating table. I don't believe we are negotiating fairly.
Yes, sir.
But I love her.
Hey, boy. That will get you.
Every time.
Every time.
Every time.
Yes, sir. Well, welcome back. Hey, man, we having a great conversation. But everybody know next week that turkey, that turkey will be fried, baked, smoked,
whatever you want to do.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. There's gonna be plenty of turkey laid across the table. But for everybody, Thanksgiving, Christmas, this time of the year, holiday season is not gonna be as joyful for everyone. And tonight, we have the pleasure of talking to therapists that's in our community to help us have this conversation. And we got Major, retired Major Sarah. What's your last name? What is
Wilson.
Wilson? Hey, even with this.
It's a minor.
Yeah.
I done cut off some of them credentials up into that.
Yeah, and who's, like I said, is retired from the military, and it was very important to me that she's here because, as you know, I'm a vet, but and to tell some of the stories of the veterans that's missing these holidays and away from their families for long periods of time, not only just because of service, but wars and things of that nature, and just telling us how they had to deal with it, how she helped them navigate through that system. But we also have Robert Tucker back in the building with us, who's also a therapist in our community, in the community of Athens. And so that's one thing I want to ask you, Robert. This time of the year, and I thought about something that also, to me, what it affects me, the time change. This time of the year, long for this time change. What have you seen in your, long as you've been a therapist, and how do some of the people, when they come to you, how are they feeling? How are they getting through it this time of the year?
It's interesting because whenever you're talking about, this time of the year, you're also talking about not only the time change, but you're also talking about things getting darker sooner, right? And, we've had several different studies around, things getting darker and depression and how those things coincide. Even people in Alaska, there's a higher rate of depression in that particular state specifically because of the length of time of darkness happening there. And so you find a lot of people running into these spaces where they're trying to manage the mental health issues that may have kind of peaked their head a little bit in the summertime. And as it gets darker, colder, and the days are shorter, you find yourself, wanting to be inside more. Isolation's happening more. People are not as outside as they typically are. And so people are trying to find a way to overcome it. Now, therapy is a pretty popular way to actually, do that nowadays. But, there was a time when therapy wasn't the thing you did. So you just sat inside and maybe you drank a little bit. Maybe you lit one up. You smoked it, in the back or in your living room, something like that. You found another way to manage and deal with this thing. And so, but nowadays, the desire sometimes is to try and find therapy or to even go on social media and see if there's any way that you can try and address this thing. But what I typically have found is that when it gets colder, you start seeing people realize it's been all year. Mm-hmm. And then they come in and they say, hey, look, I need some help with this thing. If that makes sense.
No, yes. Because like I say, even like I say, this is the first year that we have to, we're having Thanksgiving and Mama's not gonna be there. Yeah. And like I say, my aunt who passed early in this week, she's not gonna be there. My brother-in-law, his mother, she's not gonna be there.
Right.
And and the expectation that we know life goes on. You have to move on. You have to. How?
Well,
how do you muster up some of that to do that? Especially, like I say, that first year, because for a lot of people, that's fresh. It's new.
Right. And the first thing I would say is that's a long answer. But the short piece of it is recognizing that it's different and recognizing that it's hard, right? We can't go into spaces and think that it's to ourselves is gonna be simple. when I was in college and when I was, growing up, I did a lot of theater, right? And theater looks way different when you're in it than it does to, the outside world. To the outside world, it's like you put on a play, you do the production, and then, you kind of leave. For the people in the play, you've lived and breathed that whole thing.
Yeah. Every day.
So every single day, right? And so, every piece of that you've lived it. You've lived every moment of that. Everything you've been putting into yourself has led to these moments you've had on stage. And so when you leave that place, the outside world looks different all of a sudden, man. It's like Monday morning, you're like, I need to go over my lines. Oh, nah, I don't have that to do anymore. I need to get ready to go to the theater. Oh, nah, I don't have that to do anymore. I would imagine it's kind of similar in the service. Mm-hmm. You live your life day to day with the same people, same place in this environment that only people that are in it know about. And as soon as you leave it, it's way different, and you have to adjust, and that adjustment is hard. Grief is the same thing. So when you're talking about, I no longer have my people here, that's a change in your whole routine. There are people there that you are used to having there, and now you have to adjust. I had a client was talking about how the family usually cooks extra dressing for this one family member, right? But this family member is no longer with us. And so last year when they cooked the dressing as usual, but there was extra dressing there. And even those are reminders of grief and spaces where it's like, man, this is tough. So, but what do? We recognize that it's there, and sometimes we even honor it. Honoring it is a really wonderful way. My grandmother is no longer with us, but there'll be things that we'll be doing this Thanksgiving to honor the fact that her memory was actually there too, right? We have, I have an aunt, Michelle's aunt is also no longer with us. There'll be things that we'll be doing to, make sure that she is represented and well taken care of as well. There are memories that we have as we're doing things. For my grandmother, it's the way that, she used to cook biscuits, and the way that, she would, wash dishes, and the way that she would even talk at the table. Look at my plate and tell me to either get more food or not to eat too fast. So sometimes I purposely will eat slowly at the dinner table when I'm home, because I hear my grandmother's voice saying, slow down, you're going to mess your stomach up eating too fast. For my Aunt Carolyn, Michelle's aunt, it's the way that, my father-in-law and I would fry the turkey on Thanksgiving, and she would always come outside and check and make sure that, my father-in-law wasn't slipping and letting that turkey burn. She'd be like, you need to get on out there and make sure that turkey don't get burned up. But then, for me, I would experience that same thing. So anytime that I'm making sure that turkey is together, is to make sure that Aunt Carolyn will be well represented whenever that turkey gets on the table. Those are the things that we do to try and honor people. Now, I'm not saying that this is easy. I'm just saying these are things that you can do. But the other part of that is that it's also hard, because what I'm also asking you to do is remember, and it hurts to remember. And I don't want us to overlook that it hurts to remember. So part of it is remembering that these times were hard. And if it feels like those times are too hard, then talking about it is a really good option. That's the way that you probably need to find yourself in front of a therapist, or not isolating by yourself, or not thinking that nobody will understand. Because we understand. We get it. And if we don't understand, we're going to ask enough questions to understand it, right? So that's what I think. That's my 2 cents.
So I got a question. Because I've heard it from both of you guys. Because I tend to do it, because I battle depression as well. What is the harm in the isolation? Because for me, isolation is my opportunity to heal.
Sure.
It's my opportunity to separate myself to, as I call it, I'm down in the rabbit hole, and I'm trying to, get myself out, and I'm blocking out the noise. Now, I don't like to spend a whole lot of time down that rabbit hole, but I do tend to isolate. So, because you both have said it, don't isolate. So, what is the harm in the fear and the isolation?
So, you want to go?
No, I want to hear from both of you.
All right. Well, I was gonna say ladies first, but you told me to go first. I'm a obey. Just like sometimes when my wife tells me to do things, I just go ahead and do it. Yeah. You feel what I'm saying?
My wife said I got a lot of good qualities, but obedience is the best.
Listen, I'm trying to tell you. I'm learning, man. I'm learning.
I'm trying. I promise.
Number one.
Think of it this way. what you're talking about is probably more like separation, right? Like, you know, time to yourself, time to rejuvenate yourself. You need that quiet, you need that moment in time where everything is okay. Because I get that, you know, silence is golden for me. You know, sometimes I'll come out of therapy and I'll just have everything off. It'll be completely silent in my space because I need that silence, right? But isolation is purposely setting yourself aside. It's putting yourself in a situation where you're not communicating with anybody and nobody knows what's going on.
Okay.
You know, even when you have those moments of silence, you still come out of them saying, you know, hey, look, you know, you probably talk to your wife and say, hey, look, I'm going through this thing. Or you talk to your friends or your family, whoever else. Isolation is you are separating yourself from everybody and nobody knows what's swimming in your head. And that is a dangerous place because the only thing that those thoughts really do is they eat away at you to a point where you find yourself in being unrecognizable even to yourself. And that's what we would not want for you, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense.
And just to piggyback on that, once you separation is exactly what, you know, we have introverts, we have people that like to be by themselves and those types of things. And just like Robert was saying, when you're in your own head and you isolate, it's hard to bring yourself back from your isolation because you're the only voice that you're listening to. And that voice in your head, that voice will get real tricky sometimes depending on what's going on. And so if you're separating yourself from people who do care about you, if you have that isolation, there's separation. Isolation becomes a thing where it doesn't allow anything in to include any healing, to include any air, to include maybe I should think about this different, to include anything. It just gets dark.
Gotcha.
And so to climb your way out of isolation is much harder because you're the only voice that you're hearing.
Okay.
That's why we try to break you out of it.
Got it.
You don't have to listen to every voice, but something has to break through, even some light, you know.
See, I think that's what we don't have the distinction between the isolation and separation.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you can have a moment to yourself, as Sarah was saying. It's just that but that moment to yourself still allows other things to come in.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm sitting on the couch and I'm by myself at the house and I don't have anything on, Michelle comes in, I'm like, okay, she's here. She can come into my space. I'm an introvert. I don't really do all that, listen, you don't recognize my face because I am the quiet one in my relationship. Michelle talks. I don't talk. When I get done with this, I ain't saying nothing. I'm gonna have my quiet time.
Me too.
Exactly.
Me too.
But
my wife will tell you. He come in here, turn his microphone on. He just he at home.
Nothing.
Yeah.
But when I get home, in order for me to be okay, Michelle needs to know what my day was like. Right? And so, because tomorrow, for instance, when I work my half day and I actually have more time to be not so much of an introvert, she'll be able to, they'll be able to get the best of me. But today, they're going to get the silence. My wife's going to learn about my day and she's going to let me be quiet. And I love her for letting me be quiet too.
Let's talk about that. The spouse that gets you. The spouse that understands, the person that baby, I know you need your time, your space. How important, in y'all, coming from where y'all see it at, how important is it that your patient have a great supporting castmate?
I really think it's probably low key the most important thing that you can have, because I always tell any of my clients, you can't be your own best counsel. You can't be the best advice that you ever heard is from yourself.
Wow.
Right.
You know. And so that keeps you isolated to a set of thinking that may only work for you or may only protect you from whatever perceived threats or whatever else is going on in society. So somebody has to know you, like to know when you going from separation to isolation. So they can see the shift in you. You might not be able to see that you went down that far.
Right.
You're like, whoa, it's been 2 weeks. I hadn't done anything I said I was gonna do. That's different than me being introverted.
Right.
So somebody who's a good support system for you is not necessarily just there to, all the great stuff that comes in relationships, but it's also there to be a witness to your habits, your wants, your needs, and then where those two things, one goes a little bit left or right. It's a barometer sometimes for your own healing or for your own ability to grow.
Right.
So understanding those differences, and it's very nuanced. So you have to pay a lot of attention, especially when you're quiet one. If you're always quiet, then quiet is not a bad thing. How can you tell?
Exactly.
When those sorts of things, and especially I noticed that with my husband and men, soldiers, there's a lot of silence, behind that. And if everything is always silent, then how do you figure out when something is wrong?
Right.
So it's just knowing that person, having a good support system, each other, and if that's healthy for you, and you feel safe enough to come out of the dark room, or they feel safe enough to poke their head into the dark room, then I think that having that support system is not just for all the good times, it's for the times where you don't know you're doing bad and somebody else see it.
And it's really, I love that you said that, safe enough to peek your head in, because, for both people, it's like on the one hand, you should be the person who brings it in love. It's like, hey, listen, I love you, and this is the reason why I'm telling you that your mental health ain't where it needs to be. So provide that safety and that space to be able to, be able to hear that, but also for the other person, it's like that. It's not malice. Like if I'm telling you that your mental health isn't in the best place, I'm not doing that because I dislike you. I'm doing that because I care about you and I want you to be okay. So everything being done in love, and then understanding that support, being able to give that other person that space to hear, like, nah, you're just not in a good spot. And I'm telling you this because I'm concerned about you, needs to be there as well. So I love how you put that, because safety really is important in that relationship as well. Not just calling you out and being like, you're not saying nothing, why aren't you saying nothing? It's like, nah, just kindness and
Yeah. Especially that second one. Being felt like you're being attacked.
Yeah.
That's me myself. I don't take well to that at all. Especially when I'm down and feel like somebody's attacking me. And I usually don't respond very well when I'm feeling like I'm being attacked. I did that.
It's really interesting you say that, because there are military people in the house, and on the outside looking in, and I'm just being really honest with you, because I'm a civilian. I ain't got no military, nothing on me, you know what I mean? It looks like on the outside that being in the military is literally you getting used to being attacked.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, so how do you manage military stuff in your mental health with that too? You know what I'm saying? Because in my mind, it feels like it would be, it would not be, it does not seem likely that could happen as a civilian once again. So
I'm gonna answer first, and the only reason I'm answering first is because I got out in 2003, right after 90. So my state was a lot different from yours. So I'm gonna answer first. Part of being in the military, you're not allowed to. I'm not allowed. I have to be strong. I can't be weak because I'm in the military. I'm in the United States military. I can't have a weak. I can't be weak, because if they see that I'm weak, that means the military is weak. So that's the biggest BS, because like I say, until she said it, I never thought about it. But you're still a person. You're still a human. But in those moments, it's almost like you can't be human. you have to shut off, especially when you away from U.S. soil. Especially when you away from U.S. soil. You can't. So it's one of those things where you almost have to cut that off. And you become so yeah. Now,
No, that's exactly it, and I'm glad that you asked that because that's a huge transition point for a lot of military members is being attacked all the time. So what does the enemy look like, and what does safety look like, right? And so a lot of the time you think you know what the enemy looks like. You spend a lot of time identifying, we're going to say the enemy, who's against you, who's attacking you. But the part that is challenging for a lot of people, but especially veterans, is what is safe? What does safe look like?
Right.
Like, where is the destination safety? You know, what does safe look like? So you have to spend a lot of time, and this is what happens with soldiers with PTSD or not, just transitioning out of the military. What behaviors are okay and what behaviors are not, as far as coming at me, what environments am I in. So you see veterans are really challenging to go into new environments because they always have to gauge what behaviors are okay. When you spend a lot of time in theater with people you know, what's going on is, making an identification, really deciding, okay, this person or these people I feel safe around, really identifying a safe space. There's nobody here that wants to hurt me. And really telling yourself that. So it's a process. I just give you an example of Walmart. I always tell my clients, the difficult part is like, hey, I always tell them, hey, you have PTSD. Look, you the person that I want to come to battle with. You always up. You always grumpy. Nobody's going to get through the line, I don't have to watch my back. I want you on my team, right? But I don't want you doing 3 to 5 second buddy rushes in Walmart, okay, to go get biscuits, right? Because it's these things. So all these skills that they had to survive, now those skills are not applicable at another level.
Right.
So it's really the idea of community is people actually modeling what's safe for your life. Hey, this is safe people. This is a safe space. Let's go to the radio show. This is, identifying really what a safe environment, safe people, safe behaviors, where you can land when you feel attacked all the time.
Right.
So having a destination safety.
Interesting. Okay.
See, but I also think that goes for leaders in general, for corporate America. I've got 20 plus years in, and at no point in my rise, I manage over 200 employees, 3 buildings, 24-hour operations. At no point would I ever have told my leadership about my depression. Because if I can't handle my emotions, how can I handle the emotions of my employees?
Right.
So I had to find what was safe, identify what was safe for me if I wanted to progress in that environment. And just like you said, you have to put that role on, because as a leader, they're looking to you. You can't show weakness. You can't show you making mistakes. And that just adds to your anxiety, adds to your stress, your struggle and your depression. Because who do you get to talk to? Because my team can always bring it to me. Because we did a stand-up talk, and that was my stand-up talk. We're in the holidays. Hey, things may not be where you want to be. This is EAP. This is who you reach out to. This is what I need you to do. If you feel like this is going on, come talk to your supervisor. You feel like you can't talk to your supervisor, you come talk to me, because you are more than my employee. I tell them every day, at the end of the day, if something happens to you, 3 days later, I'm going to post your job. That's the brutal reality of it. Go home to the people that love you. I get you a paycheck every 2 weeks. My only responsibility is to help put the money in the bank. But I care about you as a person. But I don't have that outlet in that environment. Because I have to be the one to receive.
It's very similar. It's very similar.
I tell people all the time, because my last duty station in the Navy was at CAG in NAS Atlanta. And all you working around is officers, and that I tell them all the time, that's just like corporate America. It is just like, it's just like, from me working at CAG, I knew I did not want to be a corporate America. Because, I mean, but sitting back watching those officers, and because I had a couple, become your boys, and you see the stress, you see the stuff on their face. And I had one, we got to hang out. He was like, man, and we was riding and talking, and some reason I asked him, man, how are you doing for real? He let it go, and he was like, man, I know I should be doing this because you're insubordinate, and I can't. I said, bro, you're good here. I said, you're good here. I said, and once we get back to the boat, you Mr. So-and-so. I say, how do you do that? That was one of my questions, especially being on that boat like that. How do you do that? How do you manage that? Because you have a lot coming at you, especially when you in that middle management. Well, I like to call middle management, lieutenant governor, the little bitty officers. That middle management guy coming from here and coming up here. How do you manage that? Put it in a box.
But see, that's what therapy actually can help out with, right? Because when you're used to putting it in the box all the time, it's another form of isolation. And we were just talking about that a little earlier, because you have nobody else to talk to. So you bring them to therapy, where you can actually be a human being, take off the mask, not worry about what anybody else is saying to you, and just speak whatever truth you have, and have another person use the skill set that they have to try and help you sift through it. And even if all you can say is, listen, I got this problem and I just need you to listen, I got you. Because part of therapy is just making a person feel like a human being. Whether you've gone through combat or trauma or corporate America, life chews you up and spits you out constantly. And sometimes we just need a person to look across from us and be like, is it okay? And it's like, yeah, it's cool. At the end of your entire story, you are still a human being, and everything that you desire, you still deserve. Even if you're the person who messed it up. You know what I'm saying?
That part.
So that's what therapy does. And the only reason I'm mentioning it this way is because since we're in the holidays, you're talking about people who lost somebody, right? But you're also talking about people who went through a traumatic event, and they got to sit across the table from the person that hurt. You know what I mean? Or they got to sit across from the table from the person who didn't believe them when they first said it. Or they got to sit across from the person that they don't have a great relationship with. But part of what we're trying to do in these spaces when it's just us and the client is be like, there's nothing wrong with you. The situation is messed up. Here's how you can handle it if you have to go. But you can choose to not go because you don't really have to go to it. It's empowerment. Social workers, and I'm just giving us a shout out real quick, we're the ones who do the empowerment piece. Now, no shade to any other person with any other license. Y'all are beautiful too, and y'all are wonderful. But we come at the space of empowerment. We want to empower our clients to be able to do whatever they need to do to overcome circumstance. And that's the whole entire point of it all. So it's important that space be there for anybody that comes in front of us. Because the only thing we're going to try and do is give you the empowerment, the encouragement, and the knowledge that whatever you're trying to overcome, you definitely can do that.
So how do you as an officer deal with the stigma of I'm an officer. I can't. My troops see me coming in here. They along with the human side. I'm gonna speak. I'm a man.
Yeah.
So when I'm a man and an officer, how can I come in here and how are they breaking that stigma in the military?
Okay. I don't want to say it's broken. I think it's chipped at seasonally. You know, I think it goes in waves. It depends on, like I said, the environment. Most of the officers that I've had the pleasure of talking to, I didn't talk to them in the office. You know, I made sure that I went to where they were at and just made it. I almost picked up a smoking habit. I'm not a smoker, but trash can, confessional, smoke shack.
Yeah.
It was like, hey, just pick up a cigarette so nobody think I'm talking to. Behavior health, you know. Next thing you know, there's packs, you know, just burning, you know, there. But I think that allowing, as far as the officers, allowing people to stay in their frame of leadership, stay in what they feel like what empowers them, but being able to have a conversation with them that they may not be able to have with someone else. And so that's important as far as that's concerned. Having the ability to have people who are like-minded or have been through that experience is another one, which may be hard sometimes. I didn't have other officers that were did the same thing that I did at that time. You know, I was the top person to come talk to, so nobody looked like me. I was a black female officers within a room full of men, which is fine. So it was difficult for them to come talk to me.
Yes, that stigma and that stigma.
But the way that I broke the stigma was just being in the same spaces that they were in and just being myself, having these conversations. Because it's not necessarily what happens in, as far as military, it's a little different because we're in the same environment. So it's not necessarily what happens in the office, you have to come to therapy, but it's also them looking how you treat other people, how you carry yourself, how you talking to people. Making sure that you're not just out and about, you know, spazzing out on somebody at the PX or at the grocery store. You know, how you carry it for people who are in leadership usually is the first sign to them even deciding whether they're going to come to trust you in that level. So that has a lot to do with it, just making sure I treated everybody with a semblance of dignity and respect. And they could or couldn't come talk to me if they wanted to or not. You just have to make sure that you are a vessel for people to be able to heal and change and show up. And it's okay if some people don't talk to you. Like I tell people all the time, half of them didn't even know they had an issue. You know, there's one officer, and I'll use a small example. He's great. Our charge number one, top of make the most money, top class, got the biggest bonuses. He was great, but his wife, his daughter, and his dog was on antidepressants. And so it wasn't necessarily what was going on with him. If you just look at him, the success and everything looked great, and you know the jaw and shape, charge, going up the ladder fast. But his environment, the people who supported him were carrying the burden of everything that he was not willing to talk to and process. So being a social worker, we talk about basic tenets, empowering people, the person and environment. Yes, you're thriving in this environment, corporate or wherever you are, but inside the house, those things are not balanced. Everybody is sick. So if you're thriving here, corporate, and everybody around you in your media circle is not doing well, then are you successful? Yes. And so it's just like I said, you can't be your own best counsel, because sometimes the people around you are an indicator that maybe something isn't off with you. If they're not doing well, if your daughter is skipping school and your dog is peeing all over the floor all the time, you know, and that type of stuff. So he never saw it. He never saw it because he felt like that's his family was supposed to hold it. And that's what. So you have to look at those things. So we were talking about isolation. When you isolate and you have a family, somebody's holding that space, that dark space. Somebody, if they care about you, they feel that isolation. They feel that disconnection, and it's weighty and it's heavy. And so this isolation is not just you backing off from everybody. It's you taking whatever connections you had and you pull all of them down into a place where it's heavy for everybody else just to witness what's going on with you in the efforts for you to stay successful, for you to save face, for you to be the leader that you need. They're going to eat it. They're going to eat whatever's going on with you. And so sometimes it's not paying attention to your success. You need to pay attention to the people that are close to you and see if they healthy. If your dog is peeing every 5 seconds on the road, you know, if your kid is acting up in school every single time, and if your wife is not sleeping, or she's doing fine, but every 5 seconds she's running up the credit card because she's using, you know, shopping therapy as therapy, and now finances are out of whack. So usually there's indicators. If I see a successful person, I say, I don't need to talk to you, nothing wrong, but their whole family is in therapy though. They're all my clients. So it's just one of those things you kind of have to look at. There might be some indicators that you might need some assistance, but it might be coming from another direction. Like, hey, I know you might not want to talk to nobody, but who is your wife talking to?
Right.
Are you available for anybody else? Are you available for anything outside of your own success?
Right.
Robert,
So,
the stigma in the hood. How are we gonna break this? Because our community is sick. Still, how are we going to break the stigma?
I think you said it before that there are cracks, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, when it came to the military. I think that the hood has the same thing, right? Because part of it is that there are more of us who look like us that are coming around. Mm-hmm. And therapy looks really different in black spaces. Now, shout out to your therapist, because, I mean, you know, white man being able to give you that space is great. And there are a couple of things that are indicated there. One of those things, you know, for you is that it's not just the similarities. He gave you space to be a black man, regardless of his background. I appreciate him for that. But also, when it comes to us being able to be amongst our own people, sometimes that actually adds a lot of value to it too. Yes. Because some people will just specifically say, I don't want my experience to be heard by someone who doesn't look like me. And if that's important, then we'll get you in there. We'll try and figure it out. Let's make sure that we have that. So part of the stigma really is having more of us out there to demonstrate what that looks like, but also giving people shots. Because sometimes, you know, our counterparts who may not be in community with us do a good job too. Like, I can't, you know, take that away from them either. Yeah. So part of it is just giving it chances, but also we can't fail them, right? As practitioners, we have to do the job that we need to do. We can't be the ones who fail when we go into the hood, when we go into the community, when we go around our communities and we provide that service, that space. It can't be that you come into that space and that space fails you. It has to be that we're also successful. So that stigma sometimes is, oh, you gonna snitch, oh, you gonna say something. My favorite thing to say is, I literally went into a profession where I don't snitch on nobody. I love my profession. Confidentiality ain't nothing but no snitching but professional. So, but you know, all jokes aside, that becomes it. The more success we have in our community as practitioners, the more our community will trust us. But that is a shared responsibility. Our community needs to be able to allow us to be able to come in and provide the service, and we can't mess it up when we get the opportunity. So that's how you change the stigma, by succeeding in spaces where other people have failed. Remember, we both of us are in professions where people don't look like us. We are the rarity. There's a whole entire black therapist collective here in Athens, I wonder if there's 10 therapists in that collective.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So there are black therapists who are out here and we do things, but we're not the majority. If you go on Psychology Today or other websites, we're not the majority of who you see, right? So part of it is opportunity. Part of it is we're showing up. Part of it is that our profession is finally catching up to the landscape that can actually successfully address the issues of our community. Because they finally started paying attention to our community. Because some of what we learned in school, we had to actually, double back and be like, hey, what you talking about with our community ain't really what's going on in our community. Like, we had to double back, and I don't know if this is your experience, but it was definitely mine. Like, we had to come back and say, the way that you're representing our community in class and in our class and study ain't really it. We got to double back. And I love my dean. My dean was Maurice Daniels, black man, who actually would even challenge some of that. So sometimes even in our classes, we would have to challenge some of what we would read and come back to this is what our community is actually supposed to look like. How we're represented in this literature does not look the way that it is in real life. And so that was the challenges even in our classes too. So even what we're taught is evolving to truly represent what it's supposed to be. And that's the important piece too, is that you can't come out here not knowing who we are. You have to have curiosity about the community too. So, I mean, again, I don't know if that was your experience, but it was definitely mine.
Oh yeah, it's always that experience. And like I said, I praise everybody in the behavioral health chain up and down, but social workers particularly. I think it's a good idea if you can find one that you can build some rapport with, is because one of our tenets of our profession is cultural competence. Mm-hmm. Any culture, all the cultures. If you're going to be treating them, you better figure out who you're treating, what their issues are, what's really going on in those connections. So that's why when we say we need people that look like us, it's because it's easier to build rapport, make a connection, because most of us can connect culturally.
Yes.
Right? Yes. So, because I know what you do with your hair, if I say let that soul glow, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
If we're doing certain things, we don't have to explain as much of who we are to someone who looks like us, technically. But in other aspects of therapy, that's maybe a barrier, because you're like, will they even get it? You know, that piece of me that I haven't been able to express. So cultural competence is the big one, is people understanding who you are culturally.
Yeah.
And building on that.
And there's also the space where we learned as social workers to recognize where we fall short in our competence, right? Because we can't say that we know all of it. We took a class. Yeah. You know what I mean? So if I have someone who's Hispanic, or if I have someone who is Japanese, for instance, who wants to come as a client, I may have to say that I have a shortcoming when it comes to understanding your culture, but then I meet with curiosity, and I have to recognize that, right? It's sometimes even having those sessions with clients where I'm going to fall short in understanding you naturally, but I'm curious enough to be able to give us space for me to learn it so that I can provide the space for you. But that's what community is supposed to be, is being able to have that understanding of what it's like to hold that space for you. So that after a while, when we build our rapport, it's not me stumbling over myself trying to understand you. It's that you are understood as soon as you come into this spot. Because I already recognize from day one that I'm going to have to learn you. But then after a couple of sessions, it's like, all right, now I know. And I'm starting to build this rapport with you. I'm building this environment, this space for you to come in and feel that safety that we've been talking about this entire time. So that's how you break the stigma in the hood, is making sure that the practitioners who are going to the hood know what the hood needs, but the hood giving them a chance and us not messing it up if we get there. That's got to be it. Because the only thing the hood knows is failure. The hood knows a system that has failed them over and over again. And anybody with letters behind their name looks like the system until we don't.
Word.
To your mother. To your mother. Yes, Lord. Hey, man, this has been the conversation we need. This, I love this. I absolutely love this. And we need to have more of this. Because, like I say, it's needed. It's very much needed. And I'm glad, like I say, being a veteran, I'm glad you was able to come out and talk about that. And like I say, and even because I'm almost sure I'm not the only person that had to hear when you said them 3 parts. Wow. Because you don't think about it, but you are really putting on the mask, and you have to your compartmentalize.
Yep.
Is you become a master at that word, analyzing. You become a master in that. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
And speaking about compartmentalizing, I just wanted to go back just a tad and just say that when you're talking about handling, like, people have passed on or grief or different things, I just want everyone to know that you could be grieving and hold space for joy at the same time. You could be going through some grief but still have a sense of joy in the middle of the day that you remember something good. So, sometimes I think we, grieve the sad stuff. It's the thing that we have to be sad. We have to do those things, and that comes with it. I always say grief comes in waves. So if you're grieving or be missing out on somebody during the holidays, this sadness is there, but your whole being does not necessarily have to dwell in the sadness. You can experience joy and happiness and other things and still be grieving and missing people at the same time. So you don't just have to just be loyal to the grief and cut off everything else.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Woo. Boy, this has been a good one. I thank y'all. I thank y'all for y'all expertise, y'all knowledge, and your conversation. Because like I said, these are conversations are neat. And we're gonna get ready to get I gotta go on my phone and find my little thing I'm supposed to say.
I'm gonna talk about you.
I mean, look here, man. Look, man. Yeah, you go with that snickling again.
Cause you know I'm right.
You showed me the snickling hard.
Cause you know I'm right. Cause you know I'm right.
You got the
accountability. That's one of the good qualities of a good partner. Accountability.
We can have this.
I'm just saying. Man, that's a nice looking clock.
Oh, how much. This game called life is a series of moments. The past is just that, the past. Learn from it and be thankful for it. The future, prepare for it. It's coming. Let's get to the next one. The present is a gift. Enjoy the journey. Take pictures. But most importantly, thank God. Ed,
yes, sir.
You been gone.
Yeah, I have.
You been gone.
I have. Apologies. I was separating. Slipping into isolation.
Yes, sir.
We had some therapy break.
Yes,
I got some poetry to write now.
Yes, hey, that's the title of the second half of the show.
Oh boy.
Separate, slipping,
in
isolation.
Slippery slope.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So,
no, I got one. It's one we've done before. It's one of my favorite ones. It speaks on anxiety. It's from my second book, Second book.
You sure the second?
It's the second.
Okay.
I ain't never been no superhero.
Okay, that's
the first one that was available on Amazon.
Yes.
As I say, my first book, he corrects me.
Yes.
It was my second book.
Yes.
So it actually describes an anxiety attack I had one morning going to work. So it's called I Can't Breathe. My lungs are working perfectly and oxygen is being pulled into my body, but I can't breathe. My mind flies at the speed of light, hoping to find that one breath, the one that will calm my beating heart, the one that will soothe my crying soul, the one that will stop my shaking hands, the one that will allow me to exhale. See, this morning I didn't want to get out of bed, and last night I didn't want to lie down, because when I close my eyes to rest, the voices inside begin to rise, and the coming of the tide that washes over me tosses me like waves on a cliff, and it strips me of my joy, of my being, of myself. Lost in the waves of pain that flow over my head and slowly pull me to the bottom. Trying to desperately catch my breath one more time and not surrender, but each breath comes harder than the last, and each wave comes stronger than before, and my eyes look to the shore and I see the beach is crowded with family and friends, so perhaps this time won't lead to my end, but no one seems to notice. They just tell me to tough it out and that real men don't cry, and that it's only in my head, that if I truly believed in God that I would be all right, and that after the night comes the dawn, or they sing my favorite hymn by REM, that everybody hurts, and what makes me worth the effort to come and save, just shut up and be brave and deal with it, but I can't breathe. So I close my eyes and try to catch my breath, because I know it's only a test that I have failed before. So to the Most High I implore, please God, no more. Like the scarecrow in the Wiz, I can't win. So God, if it's a sin that I let this life end, then please forgive me, for I can't see how this can turn out. It's the 15th round in a 12-round bout. The ref is giving me a standing 8 count. And I know all things work to the good of those who love the Lord, but my heart is broken. And I'm too soft-spoken to cry, so perhaps it's best that I don't try. Stop asking why, let what will be, be. For you see, I can't breathe.
Welcome back. and it felt so, this thing felt so empty just leaving off my little thing. It's like, I be wanting to, then you sit here like, yeah. And then I'm thinking I want my wife back.
I feel you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you waiting on me.
What?
I appreciate you waiting on me.
Well, we in this thing. We in this thing to the wheel fall off, my
Say
boy.
it, boy. You better say it.
I mean,
You better say it.
no, this is what we do.
I know.
Hey man, this is what we do. But like I say, thank you. You have a community. You have people. We here.
I was wondering where y'all was at. I'm glad I found
We
you.
here.
We right here.
We here. We here. My man, we here.
We here.
We love them dogs.
Oh yeah.
Yes, sir. We live and breed them dogs.
Yes, sir.
So you need a place to come kick it. We
Hold on.
here.
What?
But I promise you.
We
You ain't here. Hey, don't even.
We don't need acknowledge.
Alabama always gonna
We'll need acknowledge that.
Ask Alabama State. I mean, ask Alabama A&M what Alabama State did to me. I know you were down there.
I was like, man, listen, we ain't talking about that right
You
now.
don't want to talk about
We ain't
that.
talking about
You
that
don't
right
want to. You don't want to talk about that Magic City Classic, boy.
You invited me to talk about mental health. We ain't talking about
That is not going to
I ain't signed up for that.
Hey, y'all, it's time to sweep the floors,
I got the bag.
clean the clippers.
I got the bag.
Boy, I ain't got to clean the bathroom tonight.
I got the bag. I got the bag.
In the words of Rito Lawson's son, old Double Jack, the shop is closed.
We're talking randomly. Talking random. We're talking randomly. Talking random.